So I do have another video roughly on this topic where I talk about how I don't like using grammar terms. The word grammar, for example, is just the rules by which a language is put together. So language is a lot like Lego, I say. So grammar is the book that tells you how to put it all together to finish the Death Star, whatever it is you're building. Now, obviously, there are a billion different combinations or more of sentences that you might want to create. And you'd think that that might be complicated, but grammar, the way we use language, it's really not that bad, okay? You're going to need to use grammar. But the point is, and the reason I don't harp on about the rules and the names for grammar is because it should be seamless. It should be something that just comes from within. You say it the right way because you know that's the way it sounds right. And that might sound weird now because you might think it's super complicated, but we all learned our first languages without learning grammar. We just absorbed things and copied and repeated. We made mistakes. We would say, I goed instead of I went. Okay, it's perfectly normal. We're going to make these mistakes and you have to be able to embrace them. Mistakes are gold. I tell all of my students this, my private students, the students when I teach in school, you've got to love those mistakes. If you're afraid of making them and try to avoid them, I get it. I mean, I've been there. During my German A-level 30 years ago, I didn't want to make any mistakes. I found French easier, but I didn't want to make mistakes. And I think it held me back. I know it held me back. After years of experience seeing students come through school and private students as well. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. You don't learn as effectively. In Spanish, you don't need to know that quiero is the first person singular of the verb querer, to want. Who cares? But it is grammar, and it is important. So as long as you understand that the algorithm, the code, the rules behind the language are important, but you don't need to necessarily be thinking of those rules all the time, then we're on to a winner. And with that example of quiero means I want. You put a lot of things after quiero. Yeah, it might be a little blunt, but maybe in British English, for example, we go far too deep on the politeness. So often you can just say, quiero café. I want coffee. If someone's directly asked you what you want, there you go. There's your coffee. So this language point is, yes, you do need to learn grammar, but before you learn Spanish, it's not a separate thing for me. What you're doing when you start to learn a language is you're piecing together all of the elements that you need. Grammar is in the background. I don't want it to be something that scares you, that puts you off, or that you're completely conscious of all the time. What I want you to be able to do is to hear the sentences that we're working on. When I run through these with the students on the course in the audio lessons, and there's a link to a free hour at the bottom. When I go through those sentences, they are using sequential knowledge. They're building each lesson on a little bit from the day before, or the previous lesson, because we staged it over weeks and months. But what they do is they remember something they've done before, and then they do it again. And if they get it wrong, I'll give them some feedback, and they'll have another go. It really is a brilliant process. So grammar will come, but it's not before you learn Spanish, and you don't learn words before the grammar. Everything comes together, but we focus on the parts of the language, whatever they are, that work best together to give you the greatest chance of being able to say the greatest number of things. So I hope that's cleared it up. Grammar is super important, but you do not have to be focused on it all the time. And you get it to work for you. It shouldn't be there to scare you or put you off or make you miserable. You don't have to learn vast tables of letter endings. Okay, that's no fun for anyone. That's a chore. Okay, languages should be fun. Okay, so try it that first lesson. And if you've got any other questions, drop me a comment, send me a message, and I'll be happy to make a video on it or just get in touch.